And I just want to go ahead and begin our session. I want to be respectful to your time. Again, my name is Brandon Harvey, National Literacy Consultant. Feel free to jot down my email address. That way, if you have questions or need more information afterwards, it's a great way for us to communicate. brandon.harvey@mheducation.com. From Houston, Texas, but I'm coming to you live over the interwebs from Columbus, Ohio, where it's a gorgeous sunny day. So I hope it's really nice where you are as well today. So what we're here to focus on is the adaptive learning portion from WonderWorks. Remember that WonderWorks is the intensive intervention system that is parallel to the core reading program known as McGraw-Hill Reading Wonders. Today, what we're really going to focus on is just what is adaptive learning. We're going to kind of give you a demo of WonderWorks adaptive learning, and as many of you have already been practicing with your chat box or the question box, I do have some friends with me here who are going to be monitoring that, and so when we get to the end, or if we find some places to pause, please feel free to write your questions or comments over the adaptive learning portion. And if there's any needs for follow-ups or those kinds of things that you'd like to see in the future, we're also open to those suggestions as well. So my first thing that I want to cover is just what is adaptive learning. For many of us, this is a new term in the landscape of education. I know it's even new to me. And adaptive learning is a 100% digital experience. As you see the definition there on the screen, adaptive learning adjusts the instructional focus and intensity of practice based on a student performance. So a student logs on, plays games, does activities, does little diagnostic things, and the system automatically creates and designs a pathway of instruction for the students. Now, I'm imagining if I was in front of you, you would all be saying, wow, that's really cool, because I think it is really cool, right? It's smart technology. So that's what we'll be looking at. When you think of WonderWorks, you know that that is intensive intervention that covers a range, particularly at kindergarten and first grade. It's focused on foundational skills. We continue that foundational skills focus all the way through grades 2 through 6, but also know that part of WonderWorks has materials for accessing complex text. Well, when you think of the adaptive learning piece, which is a part of kindergarten through 6th grade, know that it is solely focused on those foundational skills, helping those students become more proficient readers. Now, for you all as teachers and or administrators, what is adaptive learning doing for you? Because it's really simple. Remember I said that your kids log on, they can play the games. You could assign it. Those of you who are familiar with our Connected platform, you can assign these games, but you don't even have to do that. The kids can log on. If they have the materials in their book bag, then they will be able to play those games automatically, and it will constantly produce feedback for you. And let's take a look at that. As students are playing the games and doing the activities in the adaptive learning piece, it's collecting and aggregating that data for teachers automatically. You get real-time results. The kid plays the game, they log off, you could go log on as a teacher and see how they're doing. You're going to be able to then use that data to spot weaknesses, to spot successes that they're having, and that's going to help. I love that word, triage. I love that word, because then you're going to be able to really help design where you need to go with maybe some small group lessons that you want to do face-to-face with your intervention students. Now, let's talk a little bit more about what adaptive learning is. There are some features. Okay, we know it's 100% web-based. You're going to see that it facilitates the tagging and organization of all that different content, whether it's phonics, phonemic awareness, structural analysis. It delivers and assesses how the student is doing. Okay, all of those items automatically based on how the student plays those different types of activities and games. Okay, and it uses that data collection to, again, as I said earlier, deliver that kind of pathway of content, and it's individualized by each student. Okay, so what? Now what do we do? Why do we need to do this? What are the benefits of adaptive learning? It's going to create really dynamic and interactive content. Let's be real, y'all. I just said y'all, didn't I? There's my Texas accent coming out. We know that students rely heavily on technology. Many of our students in our classrooms have been born with a device in their hands, and so it's their lifeline. We have to meet them where they are, and that's one of the reasons why we want to have adaptive learning. We also know that it places the student at the center of their learning experience, and it's their individualized learning experience. And then the great thing is that you use the data that's generated by their interactions, both with things that they can do more of online, but also what you might be doing pencil paper with a piece of text in the classroom. And then finally, it's going to assess what the student knows now, it's going to determine your interactions, and it's going to really help you sequence your instruction and promote student success. Okay? So again, this is just a little bit more what I said earlier. I think there is a need for this. We know as we're coming closer to those Common Core assessments throughout all the various states across the country that many of our authors have said, we know there's going to be a need for foundational skill instruction, and this is another way to impact your students' learning. And hopefully it'll be enjoyable. You know, look at that last point. We want it's all kind of a gamified learning experience. And I do realize that there may be people on the phone call that already have Wonders and WonderWorks in the classroom. Also, I realize that there are some of you on the phone that are really here to kind of learn about what WonderWorks has and what Wonders has. So realize that there is a strong connection between our core program Wonders and WonderWorks. They completely parallel instruction through the scope and sequence, but through vocabulary, through the phonics, the foundational skills, the vocabulary, the comprehension skill, graphic organizers, all of that. It just really fits hand in glove. So now it's time for us to get into a demo of the adaptive learning. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the internet, okay? And I have logged into my teacher account. One of the first things you notice in my account is that I have that gold bar. In order to access WonderWorks, which is where adaptive learning is housed, you must have redeemed the master code for WonderWorks, okay? And so, you know, here's my book bag. You would have gotten not only a master code for Wonders, okay, and you redeem a master code for the teacher edition and student edition. And there are those of you who may not have ever dealt with codes because we did it automatically for your district, and that's another possibility. And then, again, you may have a master code, or your district may have deemed you one of the people who's responsible for delivering the WonderWorks content, and you would have that additional content active for the program. How do I know if it's there? Not only can you see this gold band, but when I go into my teacher account, so all I have to do is click on that teacher edition, and here's my teacher workspace. When I scroll down, I see that this has been added into my teacher landing page. And WonderWorks has just seamlessly been integrated throughout my teacher workspace. For example, if I click on the planner, when I click on the planner, here's my Wonders, my core reading lessons for whole group, small group, language arts. Bam. It has added my intervention lesson plans. Another example, if I go over here to resources, and I want to see the different resources that I have, not only with my core, but look what it's added. Does everybody see this tab where my mouse is circling? Right there, I can click, and I can see at a very quick glance all of my WonderWorks resources, and I can filter them through these different filters here on the side. So once that content has been redeemed, it's not like it's going to be a special thing on its own. No, it integrates into what I'm already doing. Now, let me go back out to my book bag where I see my different books, And let's talk about some of the management aspects of it. One of the first things you have to make sure that you've done is not only redeem that code or have this gold bar, but that you want to assign that content. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to click on Assign Content. Let me go back again, just in case you didn't see that. Okay, I'm in my book bag. Under Student Edition, it says Assign Content. And so I'm going to, typically what you may have is a license for 6 students. You may have more, depending on what your district has purchased or what was given. But I'm going to need to make sure my students have that added onto their account. Now, I'm going to come over here to a student account, and I'm going to log in as a student. So I'm putting in a username and a password for a particular student that I know is in my class. So I know they have the core program. There's their book. When I click into their book, and I go into my class, here is her account. Okay? Do we see this adaptive learning piece right here? That if you don't see this bubble when a student logs in, see, I'm logged in as Santana Lopez. If they don't see this, they haven't been assigned that content. So let me go back and show you what I would do. To select that content, I would just check it. I would say Next. And then I would come over here, right? And I would say, Santana, or Noah, or Brandon, or Artie, any of my students here, I want to make sure that they get that content. Click Next. Okay, that has been added into their book bag. And I would click Assign, and it tells me that the content has been successfully redeemed. So those are just some of the one-time things that you would want to do to make sure that my students are set up and ready for success. The second thing that I would want to do, in order for my students, now they have the content, they go in and play it, but remember those reports I talked about? Remember how I can see the data, how they're doing? In order to make that show up in my Teacher Center, I'm going to click on Manage and Assign. So those of you who might be taking notes, what did I do first? Assign the content. What am I doing second? I'm going in and I'm clicking on Manage and Assign. From here, I want to go into my class details, and I want to make sure that my students who are going to be playing those games and activities are listed as an intervention student. Remember that the default is on level. You just click on that drop-down menu, and you will see once you've added that content, you get another level here, a 5th level, known as intervention. You can remember, if you haven't done this already, you could do this for all of your students by setting these different teaching levels, and that's how you're going to get those different leveled readers delivered each week to their account. All right? So those are just a couple of the maintenance things that you need to do in order to make the adaptive learning work correctly. Okay? Now, I'm also now going to go ahead and click into my link or my app here down at the bottom that says WonderWorks Intervention. And as that's loading up, let's go back over to Santana's account. And let's really get into a demo. What does a kid see? Remember, I don't even have to assign it. Santana comes here, she clicks on that link that says Adaptive Learning. Now, when she does, it's going to take a few minutes for the system to load in. Okay, it opens up in a second screen, so it's kind of like a little pop-up. So if you ever have any issues with that, make sure you have your if you have pop-up blocker, you want to make sure you have that unchecked. Okay, so I'm going to come over to her account. It's downloading now those materials. Now, many of you might be asking, how often does a child need to play these adaptive learning games? I don't know if they can hear my computer.
Show what you know, then we'll be ready to go.
All right, so there's this is what it looks like, y'all, the very first time a student logs in. And I want to go back to what I was talking about. We recommend 15 to 20 minutes of play in these adaptive learning games. And that can be during small group rotation, if you have an intervention time, before school, after school, and it can be accessed not only at home but also from any internet connection that they may have. I will say, a little caveat, at this time, the adaptive portion, what I'm showing you right now, does not run on an iPad. However, we are in process here at McGraw-Hill Education of working on that and making it work on an iPad. I don't want to give you a date because I don't know a date right now, but I do know that that is in the works and they are planning on it. You know, it'd be lovely if it'll be ready by, you know, fall next school year, but I don't want to promise that. Okay? So that is coming. So I'm just going to go in, add Santana, and remember the first thing that we're going to see is we're going to take a little diagnostic.
Choose the silly word you hear. Find. There.
Okay, I think it's that. Yay.
Choose the missing syllable to complete the word in the sentence. Make sure it's right. Click check when you are finished.
And again, click and drag. Check.
Choose the word you hear as fast as you can. Find. Upper.
So remember, Santana is a fourth grader, so it's kind of seeing if she's at
Choose the missing
fourth grade
prefix
skills.
to complete the word in the sentence. Make sure it's right. Click check when you are finished.
Let's just do, I'm going to get some wrong, of course, as well.
Choose the word you hear as fast as you can.
Notice the status.
Find. Pal.
How? Notice the status bar is going through as I'm playing this game.
Choose the missing syllable
Doing these
to
activities.
complete the word in the sentence. Make sure it's right. Click check when you are finished.
So it's just a quick little 5 to 10 minute diagnostic.
Choose the one that matches. Leash. Leak. Catch.
So notice we're doing both phonological awareness,
Choose the missing word to
doing some
complete.
structural analysis,
Make sure it's
diagraph,
right.
syllables.
Click check when you are finished.
Now see, now I have to read it. Oh, I think that might be right. I don't know.
Drag the parts to make the word you hear. Make sure it's right.
I really am
Click
smart, y'all.
check when
I
you
really
are
could
finished.
get it right.
Make. Pinch.
All right. Oh. There we go.
Take away sounds to make new planet names. Say. Shovel. Think. What? Shovel. Without. At the beginning.
Ooh.
When you know the answer, click the picture. Lash. Veil. Vol.
Oh. Now that I did that quick little assessment, it has already created, based on my successes and my misses, it's created a pathway for me. And these are the different types of games that I could go in and play. Now, I'm not going to play all of these because I want to move on a little bit, but let me just show you a couple of them. Here's one on complex vowels. And again, the reason I want to play some of these is so that you will see in the report, when I go into the Teacher Center, what the report looks like. Oh, I accidentally hit skip on that. I didn't mean to skip it. Here we go. All right.
Choose the missing word to complete the sentence. Make sure it's right. Click check when you are finished.
All right, so I choose the word.
Well done.
Now, I also want you to notice what's going to happen when I get something wrong, because this is what I love about it. When I get something wrong, it's going to offer remediation right away, okay? So let's see what happens when I get something wrong.
Try again.
Okay, so it's just going to first say, let me try again. Notice it rearranged my answer choices. Okay, so I've really got to be able to, I got to read the sentence, pick the right answer.
Not quite. Watch this.
Now it's going to offer me some tutoring here.
Noise. Completes the sentence.
Okay, so it kind of like, here, what's the correct answer? Let's maybe try again. You do have some buttons up here where you can
choose the
hear
missing
the instructions
word to
again.
complete the sentence. Make sure it's right. Click check when you are finished.
And then, of course, you can exit out. Let me just show you maybe another type of game.
Welcome to the bot shop. This robot has gone to pieces. Use what you know about words with complex vowels to rebuild the robot. Choose the silly word you hear as fast as you can.
And all of the games you will find all kind of this like space age, rockets, robots kind of thing. And I was talking and I have no idea what she said, so I'm just going to...
Try again.
Okay, got that wrong.
Find. Suck.
All right.
Suck. Find. Scoon.
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 And of course, at each time I get it right, I'm helping to build the robot.
Try again. Find. Druce.
I just want to show you what happens when I get it wrong.
This is Druce. Find. Count.
All right, so I'm going to exit it. So you get the idea that the student is playing the game, and as I get things right and I'm successful, notice it's kind of like a gaming aspect that it'll show you some points. So if you come over, as you're watching kids play these, the higher these numbers grow, lets you know they're being really successful, they're getting things right, they've been in playing different activities. Also, there'll be a status bar right up here that will fill up green. You can see there's a little bit of green on these two games that I played right here. All right? So now what I don't know why I'm saying all right. Nobody can talk back to me. But again, I just want to remind you as we're going through, feel free to type in any questions or any comments in the chat box or question box, and we'll be responding to those. All right, so I'm going to come back over here to my Teacher Center. I'm just going to refresh my screen really quickly. And while we're doing that, I'm going to pause and just see if we have any questions or comments from anybody. We do. So Madonna asks, it's Madonna.
It is.
Oh, that's like really, that's your name. That's such a cool name. I love that. Okay, Madonna, you're asking, because there are different comfort levels during this webinar, are we able to have a printable copy of the PowerPoint or the instructions to access the intervention resource? We can provide definitely some help menus. I'm going to show you some things that are online as well. So yeah, we'll have your email and we can send you those resources, Madonna. Thank you. Miss Betsy asks, I know our SPED teachers have access to WonderWorks. However, do our regular ed teachers have access to this code as well? That is a school or district decision, Betsy, so I don't know. You would want to talk to whoever maybe is in charge of textbooks or ordering. That might be your principal, assistant principal, or perhaps somebody in central office. And then Lori asks, I'm assuming it starts as a much lower level. Absolutely. Y'all, this will go all the way down to pre-K. We're talking about letter recognition, okay, alphabet skills, pre-K. So yes, even though I'm in grade 4, this really does go way, way lower, absolutely. And then Michelle asks, how do I get my master codes? Again, that is a district decision, and Michelle, you may want to email me directly, and I can do a little follow-up with you, find out who your McGraw-Hill rep is, and find out how that was delivered. So Michelle, I'll show my email address in case you didn't get it, and you may want to send that to me because it's handled differently in different districts all across the country. So, and again, depending, and back to the other question was, do regular ed teachers have access? It just depends on how it's been set up in your district. So what I wanted just to show you, though, is that you see this chart. you can see Brandon H. has been in. He's played a significant number of games, okay, to play these different type of activities. Now, notice the colored dots. Green means good. You are being successful. Okay, you're getting an adequate amount of these activities correct. Red means I'm struggling a lot. Okay, that should send up a red flag as a teacher. I need to be doing some, pre-teaching. I need to maybe go back and review some things. And then the yellow is kind of in the middle. We're not failing, but we could do better. So kind of a caution. And what you'll notice is that based on how the students overall are doing in your class, it will provide either suggestions for pre-teaching, like, hey, you may want to start pre-teaching these particular skills because they're going to see them coming up in future activities, or skills to review, like they played these games, they struggled with them, you may need to go back and review those particular things. All right, so how do I find those activities? Well, one of them said final E, or find syllables or complex vowels. So here I can come up to the top and I can find a particular strand. I'll just say my phonics strand here. Then I come over to the second drop down and I choose a skill, all right? And I can go through all the different skills that are there. There's a final E lesson. Click find. And when I click on that, there's that lesson that is actually in the kit. And so this will also provide for me a preview of that particular lesson plan. But remember, I have it here digitally, but it's also in those foundational skills cards. K and 1, remember this would be referencing perhaps activities that are already in your Teacher's Edition, because the entire Teacher's Edition at K and 1 is built around foundational skills. But at grades 2 through 6, it's that foundational skills kit. From here, I can automatically add it to the current day's plan if I want to do that lesson plan today, or I can move it to the holding bin. And remember that the holding bin is a place where I can now go put this lesson on any particular day that I want to use it on. So maybe I want to use it for like next week's lesson plan. So you have some of those options as well. Okay, so then I can return to my planner. I could scroll down. I could see my intervention lesson plans as well. Now, one of the things that we talked about is in order to play these games, you're going to, you can just let the kids know, hey, each day I want you going in, I want you playing these games. But you may want to recommend them or actually send them as an assignment. So here, when I click on that, every Monday, like at the beginning of the week, you'll have that icon. Let me go back to that plan because I did that kind of fast. Let me scroll back down to my lesson plans. You'll see right here, there's actually an icon for Reading Wonders Adaptive Learning, and it's just right here on the first day, even though you might want the kids playing it multiple days. But from this link, click on it, takes me to that plan, and remember from here, I can actually assign this resource. So I could say adaptive games or activities, please, oops, can't spell, please play for 20 minutes tonight. Or if you want to set this for, the whole week, whatever you might want to do. And so I'm going to start that tonight. I'm going to send it to all of my intervention students, or you could pick and choose, so you could really kind of differentiate. I'm going to assign that to them, okay, and then I'm done. So that's how I go in and I can assign it as a particular activity. Now, if I go back over here to my my students' login, let me just refresh this screen really quickly. Oops, it kicked me out, didn't it? Okay, let me log in. I'll log in as a different student here. What's my login? 82. So this is my little fake student named Brandon. I'm going to go into his book bag. He's in, imagine that, Brandon's in Brandon's class. To do. I click on my to-do list, okay, and I have some adaptive learning. Yes? No? Ooh, there it is. Sorry. They're in calendar order. So there's my adaptive learning. Click on it. There's that link right into the adaptive learning games. And, of course, that would load up and so forth. Okay? All right. Now, back over here, going back home. What we've seen is that once students have the content and they have been assigned as an intervention student, that then they will have access to those. Oh, sorry. That was Brandon's. Notice here, because I've been in my own account here, it's taking me right into the games and activities that I need to play. Some of these are the same that we saw in Santana's account, and some of these are different. I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. So the diagnostic isn't necessarily going to happen every single day when they log in, but throughout the course, as they are improving, as they're checking their skills, it will do a little diagnostic if needed as they continue to be successful in those games and activities. What I wanted to share with you, though, is what about from the teacher point of view? What if I wanted to model this to my whole class? Even though they may or may not necessarily be an intervention student. What if I wanted to play some of these games as an activity with my whole class? So what I want to do is I'm going to click back on the word Connect Ed, and I'm back here in my book bag. Remember, this is where I was at the beginning of our session today. And I'm going to come over here, and in order, what I can do is I can show the games and activities, but it's a teacher view. And how I do that is I'm going to click on the student book that is in my teacher account. Okay? So I'm clicking on Student Edition, and I'm going into my student's book, but this is not a particular student. This is me going into it through my teacher login. Okay? Is everybody with me? Is that clear? All right. I don't know why I keep asking questions because I can't see you or hear you. So I'm going to click on Adaptive Learning, and look at how, what I want you to see is how the adaptive learning view is different when I go in as a teacher. And there's going to be some really cool features here that I want you to see from this teacher account. As that's loading up, I want to take a minute to look at any questions that we may have had come through. And again, remember, at any time you can type in a question. Are only the intervention students able to use the adaptive learning platform? Yes, they have to have that content. So at any time you can assign content to other students, but that is who it is intended for. But I didn't see who asked that question, but please know that what I'm showing you here is a great way that even if they're not necessarily labeled or assigned as an intervention student, through this teacher view you could kind of play it as a whole group, or put it up on a smart board and it could be a rotating station. Is the pre-kindergarten WonderWorks program available yet? Madonna, it is not yet. I don't know where they are with the pre-K materials. But yeah, I don't believe it's available. Betsy asked, I found out that the SPED teachers have the codes and they can assign students, and the students can pull up anywhere. The teachers can model with the students. Yeah, oh, this is just good. Okay, Betsy's really happy. You're exactly right, Betsy. Robin asks, that is what I did. It is, oh. Okay, all right, I'm ignoring that. And then let's see, Megan, can you assign WonderWorks assessment online? Yes, we can, Megan. This session is really about the adaptive learning piece, but if you want to hang on, at the end I will show you a little bit about the assessments for WonderWorks, because yes, it is fully digital. The entire program is digital. And then Mary wants to know, what are some of our classroom teachers have shared their class with a reading specialist. We hold a sign for a key for each grade level for WonderWorks. How do we assign WonderWorks to only a particular student in that shared class? So if they, even if they're shared, as long as they have that content, because that content will be in that student book bag. So Probably whoever's that homeroom teacher, who they're originally with, or whoever has that content, can assign that content to that particular student, even if they are shared between a couple of different teachers. So, awesome. Again, keep the questions flowing, guys. This is really, really awesome. So, look at this, y'all. Doesn't this view look different? How did I get to this view? It's by clicking on the student book under my teacher login. And so what this allows me to see as a teacher is I can really see any of those particular games. So here we're looking at phonemic awareness, maybe a particular skill, maybe we're working on our initial blends, and then I can choose one of the games. There's 2 games here. And so depending on how what you choose, you'll see some of the same, maybe some different activities to choose from. Okay, so I'm going to do match pair, say find, and this allows me also as a teacher to see what my students would see.
Greetings, Robot Wrangler. Our robot friend is running on empty. Use what you know about ending sounds to refuel the robot. Choose 2 with the same ending sound. Watch first.
All right, we've got to watch first.
Vet.
Vet.
Vest.
Vest.
Toast.
Toast.
Vest. Toast. Have the same ending sound. Now it's your turn to find the pair.
That was good. That was a little tricky because if they weren't paying attention, 2 of them had the same initial sounds, 2 had same ending sound.
Choose 2 with the same ending sound. Leap. Gasp. Wasp. Wasp. Gasp. Well done.
Awesome. So again, you can see how I could play those activities. Now this is what I love, okay? Remember that from the Teacher Center, we did have that report, remember with the colored dots, and it allowed me to see how they were doing. Here is an even more detailed report. So I'm going to go into my classroom, and I'm going to pull up a report. And there are basically 2 areas that I can do here. I can do progress by topic or performance. Let's take a look at the progress by topic. So I'm going to click on that. And y'all, just as a teacher, I lost my mind when I saw this. So I hope y'all are getting as excited as I am. Please send me a smiley face if you're getting excited. I can open up by strand and then each individual topic. Look at this. I know that Brandon spent, 18 seconds in this particular game and the progress that he or she is making on that. So it really gives you what we call in the business metadata. Here, I spent a minute 45 seconds on segmentation. So any of the particular topics or skills that those students might be working on, I can see what they're doing and how they are progressing in those particular skills. And look down here, I can print that report. Talk about great data for my RTI meetings, great data for parents. I think this is just phenomenal. So that's by topic. Look at this one over here, a performance summary. Okay, how much are my students learning? Look at this. Oh my gosh, I just think this is so cool. So you can see here, like Brandon Harvey has done a total of 18 minutes, okay? 18 minutes in the adaptive learning, and that's only 1% of everything it has to offer. I have actually been posed with 51 different questions. This is now like if I wanted to take a grade, like you know how kids get online and they play games but you can never really get a grade from it? If I wanted to get a grade, I literally could because I would be earning a 62 because I've only gotten 32 out of the 51 questions right. And y'all, I'm not saying that take a grade on this. That's not what I don't want to advocate that. But I'm saying that's kind of what it's giving you. Here, though, you can see Artie is much smarter than I am. He's been posed with 32 different questions, and of those, he's only gotten 1 wrong, and so he's getting like a 96. Okay, and then remember how we went in as Santana? We've only been on as Santana for about a minute, okay, and we're at a 40%. But from here, I can really see details then. Look at this. This is the detailed report for that individual student. Look at this. It takes each topic and each particular segment of that topic and breaks it down and gives them an individual grade or score and time spent. I don't know if y'all are losing your minds right now, but I just think this is phenomenal, just phenomenal data that I've never really seen in a reading program before. So can I get a woo-woo if we're excited about it? Let's see. Betsy says this is perfect documentation for differentiated instruction, RTI, data teams. Thank you, Megan. Woo-woo. Thank you, Antoinette. What if we don't have a student copy of the textbook? That's okay, because everything is digital. Who asked that? That was Anita. Anita, it's okay if you don't have the print version. But here's what I would question. If you don't have the print version somewhere in the school, you may not have purchased or may not have access to it, because typically that's how you get the digital, is when you buy the print, you get the digital for free. But it could also be done in reverse. You may not want any print, and you may just want to purchase digital. You know, as y'all are seeing the benefits to this program, you may want to inquire about purchasing more seats or licenses so that you can get even more kids involved. Is there an initial report? Ashley, I have not seen one. Now, we do have one of our product sponsors online who's very closely directed with this, and I'm going to maybe pose that question to her. Kathy, if you're on the phone and you want to speak to our friend's question, she wanted to know if there was any kind of report based on an initial assessment. I don't think there is, though.
Not in the adaptive learning.
Okay.
The initial diagnostic basically automatically places the student, as Brandon indicated, at the skills that that particular student needs. In the overall WonderWorks product, however, there are placement and benchmark exams. So you probably, in order to place your student into the intervention group in the first place and determine that they need WonderWorks, you probably would use the placement exam from Wonders to identify which students are significantly below where they should be. So you would get data out of that assessment system, not out of the adaptive learning system for that initial assessment, I think.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And I didn't think there was either. It's that, and you saw me do it, actually. Remember, you just saw me take, as Santana, I took that initial assessment and then immediately created that pathway. And that's really what these reports are doing, is based on once they're into that pathway. Betsy asks, our teachers have seen differences in success in games being done at home and at school, higher percentages at home. Any suggestions for this? Interesting. I wonder, Betsy, do you think they're getting help from mom and dad? You know, that may be the case. Oh, Betsy, you're like, of course they're getting help from mom and dad. Yeah, so, you know, maybe it's just something that I don't know the remedy. You know, talk to mom and dad and say, you know, really let them know, because, you know what, parents may not realize what this system is. They may just think the kids are playing games. And so maybe have that like one-on-one conversation and go, you know, I know they're doing really well. Try not to help them or give them success, because and maybe show them saying, I'm getting some really good data, and it's going to give me a clear picture of what they know. But then if they're getting any help, or you know, and not just say, the parents say, you know, if their brother or sister sit next to them giving them answers, you know, it's not helping them in the long run. Yeah, Betsy, good idea. Betsy's drafting a letter. And I don't know what the cost of a seat is, but we are recording your question, and we have your email address, and we can follow up with you as far as what it costs for a seat license in WonderWorks. Chelsea asks, even a sub long term, this makes the lesson group so much easier. Yeah, that's a really good point, Chelsea, that it really helps with the when you do have a sub or a long-term sub, that it kind of just rolls itself, it kind of takes care of itself. And then, Anita, I don't have access to the digital text. I have codes for teacher material only. I'm special ed. Anita, you should have, and I believe, Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong, but if they have access to the teacher edition master code for WonderWorks, they should have access to the student edition master code for WonderWorks. Is that correct, Kathy?
That is my understanding as well.
Yes.
So I would just check with your master code holder, whoever it was who distributed that to you in the first place.
Great, great. Let's see, Elizabeth, students that are Tier 3 or 4 are already receiving SPED services. Do they receive instruction in Reading Wonders and then receive additional instruction? You know, Elizabeth asked that question, is that right? Elizabeth, that differs across the country. Sometimes WonderWorks is done as a pullout, and it is in addition to the core, which is lovely. Sometimes it's done as a push-in, where you may have a resource teacher or SPED teacher who comes into your classroom and delivers that lesson. We have it sometimes where it's the classroom teacher that delivers that lesson. Sometimes it is a pull-out, where they are in a separate resource classroom, and that they're using that as part of their curriculum. So it varies. And it can work either way. It's a great, you know, curriculum that can work and build success for students that may have an IEP with certain learning disabilities, and that they are getting those lessons delivered at an instructional level that is up to 2 years below grade level. However, depending on that student, you do need to realize that WonderWorks is 2 years below grade level, and if they don't have those modifications built into their IEP, that they need to, again, always be exposed to the core. And that's where I see the greatest benefit, because it is so hand in glove and follows the same scope and sequence. Now, not necessarily WonderWorks adaptive, because remember, adaptive is individualized to the student, but the WonderWorks program, the way that, you know, Teacher's Edition is set up, is to follow the core Wonders program. Now, does WonderWorks replace the core? No. No, I would not say it replaces the core. Who asked that question? Sally. Okay, Sally, I would not say that at all. Let's see. Oh, Sally, thank you. So if we push in, WonderWorks would be differentiated instruction or an accommodation. Absolutely, Elizabeth. That's a great idea and a great way to use that. Mabel, one of our special education teachers only has access to Wonders, but she needs access to WonderWorks. I agree. We have tried to get her to have it added, but no one seems to know how. Can you help? Absolutely, maybe we can follow up with you. If you want to email me, we have your email address, I believe, when you registered. Find out how you can get that master code. But I always would suggest, you know, we can help you on our side. It's good if you also kind of grease the squeaky wheel a little bit, whoever's in charge of textbook or ordering materials, instructional materials. Maybe talk to them and say, hey, I know we have WonderWorks. Do we know about that? Can we order that? But we'll follow up with you, Mabel. Mary, did you say the WonderWorks program is 2 years below the Reading Wonders regular program? Yes, Mary, it is. Now, let's think about this. It's stair steps. So if I go to the first lesson of WonderWorks, okay, it's going to be 2 years below the grade level. Okay, so let's use my 4th grade example. If I'm in a 4th grade WonderWorks, Unit 1, Week 1, Lesson 1, that's going to be starting out as if I have skills like a 2nd grader. Now, it's going to stair step them up so that by the time I'm at the end of the grade 4 WonderWorks, it's at least got them to the approaching level of Wonders. And that's another beauty, is when you're in the instruction of WonderWorks, every week, and also at the end of each unit, week 6, is an opportunity. You'll see it says level up. That's that opportunity to accelerate. You know, you've been in WonderWorks, you've been using that. Let's see if we go to the actual reading writing workshop book, or if we go to the approaching leveled reader. Can you be successful on your own, at least at that level? There's all that kind of always checking to see if growth is happening. Lisa, does the placement test change based on grade level? Yes, Lisa. I was in grade 4, so you will see it is definitely based on those different grade levels. If a child is far below the grade level, do they still get the same placement test, or it is even different or different for grade levels? Kathy Vanderhoof, do you want to kind of speak to that as far as, you know, it goes pretty low, correct, even if they're doing really poorly on that placement test?
Yes. The adaptive will start even within the diagnostic. It will start at a level that is approximately where that student probably should be, and within the diagnostic itself, if the student is consistently failing at those questions, it will give easier and easier questions. And then based on the answers to those questions, it will place the student in whatever skill level they need. So if it's a 4th grade student who is still having trouble with letter sound recognition, that's where that student is placed. Does that answer the question?
Absolutely, and that's kind of what I was thinking too. So it's really kind of, it presents the material that it kind of thinks it should be at, but again, it will go low, 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 all the way down to some of those very early pre-K letter recognition, kindergarten skills. Esther asks, any webinars available for parents that will assist them in helping their child with this program? Esther, there are not right now, but if you feel that's a need, that is something we can definitely create for you. So we'll hold on to your email, and if something gets created, we will shoot that out to you, and maybe that's something that we want to publicize. We can maybe do a webinar and share that with all of you that are on the call today. That's a great idea. Thank you for that suggestion. Betsy also created a comment, and this might be valuable to others of you on the phone. Betsy said that they have found that the ELL leveled readers, remember that's the purple leveled reader, to help with the approaching readers as well. And I totally agree, Betsy. My philosophy, and really McGraw-Hill's philosophy, is that ELL students are quite bright, and that it's really about language acquisition, and they struggle with language. And so you can have a monolingual student. I had plenty of students in my 3rd grade classroom who only spoke English, but, you know, they could benefit from the ELL instruction. So I think that's a very powerful statement. And don't be afraid to use the ELL strategies, the ELL small group with any of your students who may be struggling with language development. Oh, right on, Betsy, I know. So, Chelsea, if a district buys the WonderWorks reading program, does the rep come in and train a set of teachers? Yeah, absolutely. We offer online training. We offer in-person training. That is definitely something that we would want to provide to you. So, you know, that just talk to the rep about that, and they can schedule that. Now, I do want to start to wrap up a little bit. We saw these reports. We've really seen the entire program as far as the adaptive portion. It sounds like we may want to schedule another webinar just to talk more about the print side of the program as well. Now, I'm going to go back to my book bag, and the last thing I want to end with, and I think this might be helpful for many of you, or share this with your colleagues, is when you have the WonderWorks materials added, remember, again, you'll have this little button, and it seamlessly integrates in, and that includes with professional development. And what you will see here, and those of you who may already be in the Wonders program, this has just recently been added. If you haven't been here in a while, there are now modules, self-paced implementation models for the core, as well as, let me show you that there are PD, specific kind of narrated webinars for WonderWorks. Program overviews, the components, the instructional plan. Of course, because I'm in grade 4, this is leaning towards the upper grades. If I was logged in as a 1st grade teacher, I'd see it for K or 1. The integration of how it integrates seamlessly with the Wonders, the core, as well as, looky here, assessment and the adaptive learning piece. So these are self-paced tools that you can use at your leisure and to help build your professional development. Okay. So I just want to remind everybody that Adaptive is at whatever level the student needs, okay? It's the print curriculum that's specific, that is a specific level. Does that make sense? So, you know, you get a textbook, it's print, you can't change it, right? It's at a certain level, it's geared for, you know, below, you know, approaching on beyond. What is so valuable, and what is to me the biggest wow of the fact that you now have, you know, access to adaptive learning, is that you can have that 5th grader and they're working at their 1st grade foundational skills. And we've never had that before in education. And it's that child's level, and the kid next to him might be 3 levels above, and it's going to give them that direct pathway. So I think that's really the key to building strong readers and writers, is having that individualized learning experience. Now, as we wrap up, I do want to just let everybody know we went through all of this. There's my information again. Please make sure you note my username, my email address, brandon.harvey@mheducation.com. We will, when you registered, provide your email. So those of you that we need to follow up with, we will be following up with that. Please continue to watch for more invitations for other webinars, not only with WonderWorks, but also with the Core Reading Wonders program. A couple other questions. Thank you, Karen, from Fort Wayne, Indiana. You're welcome. Elizabeth, you're welcome. And then Anita says, what does Anita say? Okay, oh, that was your earlier question. Betsy, thanks so much. You're welcome. Okay, you're seeing big gains. That's awesome. That's awesome. And I do want to, again, if you need to log off, you're more than welcome to. For my one friend who wanted to see about assessment, I am going to just touch on that very quickly. Was that for Megan? Okay. So, and anybody else that wants to, when you go into assess, okay, there's an e-assessment platform. You do have a tab there that will pull up that particular assessment that's tied. Remember, it says I'm in Unit 6, Week 1. There's my Unit 6, Week 1. You have your foundational skills, printable assessment, your fluency, as well as is built into the foundational skills materials. But all I have to do is go here. When I first click on assessment, I click on the assessment generator. Now, there is a caveat. Okay. What I would recommend when you pull in the WonderWorks assessment, okay, and you're going to have it. Okay, so you have, once you have the WonderWorks codes, it automatically places all of those. We can look at grade 4 here, those WonderWorks assessments. The weekly assessments are not digital, and I know that's kind of weird to think about because the weekly ones in Wonders are, but the weekly ones are not digital because in WonderWorks they are open-ended. They are write-in questions. There's only 5 of them for a weekly assessment, but the kids really have to write their answer out or circle or draw. So they are not any assessment. But the mid-unit, unit, and exit tests are. But what I want to just caution you about, this is a little, like I said, a little quirk of the system, is that when I come over here, I'm going to go make this assignment. I'm going to pull over my class. And when I go to make that assignment, the one thing I'll caution you is that see it says name required. Do not change the name. If you change the name, you will not see it come up in the e-assessment report. You know, and I'll show you those reports in a second. So all I want to do is I just go find that particular, I'm going to do that grade 4, you know, mid-unit. I'm going to open up my mid-unit folder, say Unit 3, and see how it puts the name in there? And you want to leave it just like the computer does it. Now with Wonders, we don't have this issue. You can change the name, you can rename it, whatever you want to do. But here, just make sure it's named the exact same way. Then you would go through, you can select which students do you want to see the test, you know, select all of the availability, how do you want it presented, scramble the questions and whatnot. Do you want any reports back, you know, see the score, not see the score, and then finish. And now that's been assigned to the student. And what I was talking about was when I go to the home screen and I want to click on my WonderWorks intervention, and so we know we have these adaptive learning reports. You also have these e-assessment reports. If you don't see how I can see the score, if you change the name of the test, it won't show up here. And that's the only weird thing of the system. But other than that, absolutely you have WonderWorks assessments in the e-assessment system. So I hope that answers your question. All right. And Ashley asks, are we able to see the recorded version of this? I need to review a few things. Absolutely. We will be sending out a link once it is recorded and posted online. All of you will get a little email that reminds you, hey, here's a recorded version of that webinar you attended, and that'll be really great because then you can pause it, go play, review, send it out to maybe some other people in your school building that weren't able to attend. Not a problem. So, and thanks, Diane. She's got to go, and as well as I have to go too. It's here. We're in the, where are we, in the East Coast? I don't even know what time zone I'm in. It's after 5 here, so it's quitting time here. I thank you all so much for your valuable time. It's been a privilege and an honor talking to you all. What you do for children is really amazing. So thank you guys, and let's keep in touch. So everyone, signing off. Have a great afternoon. Take care, and bye-bye.